Hi, welcome to the Dairy Hour podcast, where rural charm meets personal growth. Join us as we milk every moment for wisdom, self-improvement, and mental wellness. I'm your host, Val Lavigne, a rural dairy farming mom with a passion for filling hearts while never forgetting to fill my own cup. Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering tips, and a splash of fun and laughs, of course. Let's cultivate growth, nourish our minds, and embrace the journey together. This is the Dairy Hour podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air and the inspiration you need to be your best self. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Dairy Hour podcast. I am your host, Val Lavigne, and I am joined by a very special guest today. And if you're in the dairy industry, I can almost guarantee that you have heard of her. Barbara O'Brien, or Barb. How are you today, Barb?
I am great, Val. Thank you. And excited to have a conversation with you today.
Good. I am so excited because normally when I get to chat with you, it's kind of in passing where I get to watch you, give a talk at a meeting, things like that. And I very rarely get a chance to sit down and really have a good conversation with you. So I'm super excited about this. Barb, do you want to start for those that do not know who you are? Do you want to kind of give us the rundown?
Of course. So Barbara O'Brien, as you said, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and chief executive officer of Dairy Management, the Dairy Checkoff program funded by dairy farmers, and this amazing organization that has evolved over the last. The Act and Order was actually put in place 40 years ago, Val. DMI was put in place 30 years ago, and we work on behalf of all of America's dairy farmers, and the checkoff is represented by 20 different organizations at this point, local, national, and then international, working on behalf of farmers and U.S. dairy.
Awesome. And you are based out of Illinois?
Rosemont, Illinois. We're about 10 minutes from O'Hare. So we like to keep it easy for farmers who come in and out.
Yep, exactly. And I don't think I've ever actually gone out of the airport in Chicago until I started going to board meetings. So I've gotten to get to see a little bit of the Chicago Rosemont area. So,
all right. For better or for worse.
Yes, it's definitely different than the farm. We'll put it that way, but it's not a bad thing. So Barb, I want to talk a little bit. I like to go backwards and, talk about where did you grow up? What was life like, for you growing up?
So I grew up here in the Chicago area, suburbs of Chicago, maybe 30 miles north, right along Lake Michigan. I am one of four kids. As I always say, I'm the middle of the middle. Eldest son and then three girls, and I'm the middle girl. And my father was an attorney by education, but never worked as a lawyer. He was in the real estate business, developed communities here in the Chicago area, and then had his own home building business, which, by the way, I thought about going into when I got out of college, but the market was not that positive. And then my mom was a librarian when she worked, and then once she had kids, stopped working and focused 100% of her time on us.
Awesome. And what kind of things did you do when you were in school? Did you play sports? Were you involved in any activities? What kind of things were you interested in?
Very involved. So from an athletic standpoint, ran the gamut in terms of sports, but really settled on tennis in high school and played doubles, which was a lot of fun. And but I also was very involved in music and the arts. So I'm a dancer by background. I trained in ballet. And then as I got older, I got involved in jazz and modern dance. I actually started a dance company at the University of Michigan for non-dance majors. And I'm very that dance is one of those things that teaches you memorization. It teaches you presence. Val, you know this because you know me personally. I'm actually pretty short in stature. I'm like 5'3", but people will say to me, gosh, I always thought you were a lot taller. And I think it's because it's how I
your posture.
Yeah, exactly. So I did a lot of dance and musical theater, and then I also did student government.
Okay.
So worked in, with my class officers and lots of that stuff. So tried to get a pretty diverse experience growing up.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously cows were nowheres in that background. Just a little like point of view. And then, so you're getting ready to go off to college. What were your thoughts, prior to going into college? Like, where did you see life taking?
I was interested in the arts, as I said, but I think I had, I didn't have the physique to become a professional dancer or something. They're like 6 feet tall and skinny as can be.
You fell a little shy on the height requirements. That's fine.
Exactly. But I thought there could be a business side to it, a business side to the arts. So went into Michigan, really general business background, and then started to specialize in communications, marketing communications, in business administration, and then got out of college and figured out nobody wanted to pay you to do that. So you're saying there's not a job available for whatever I want to do. Hold on. You know what I found out is that people volunteer. That the arts is filled with well-intentioned, MBAs who have the ability to volunteer to do some of that work. So just wasn't a viable career path at the time. So I went into the agency business, which I felt like had a good business foundation, but also had a level of creativity that I could apply some of what I had learned and enjoyed over the years.
So, how long did you spend, in the agency business, and what kind of things, what skills did you pick up there?
I actually loved it. So 5 years I spent with a big international agency and worked on an amazing cross-section of clients. And that's what I loved about it, is the diversity of clients lets you work on problem solving across many, 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 many categories. So had clients like the city of Fort Worth, Texas, and American Airlines. But then about a year into my time with the big agency, they started a health and nutrition specialty group. And I raised my hand and said, I'm going that direction. I just was fascinated by it. So then got to work with food and nutrition, got to work with pharmaceutical companies, medical device companies, again, a broad range. Gatorade was one of my first accounts. And you know what you'll like? So again, not sure on how I feel about it nutritionally, but we started something called the Gatorade Sports Science Institute. And Val, it was modeled after the National Dairy Council. So like when I think back on my career, I'm like, ooh, there was like foreshadowing.
Couple touch points in there you never saw coming.
Exactly. But because dairy had such credibility based on National Dairy Council with the science, that's what Gatorade was looking to build. So we built a network of universities who did research on rehydration and tried to build it over time. So, they could have that foundation.
Okay. So you're working at this agency, and then what kind of made you make your next move? Where did you go from there?
Fascinating. Again, I loved what I did, but I also wanted to grow, wanted more experience. Agencies operate with a really sort of stiff ladder in terms of growth. And I will never forget, I was on an escalator in Cincinnati, Ohio, and with my boss. We had just left Procter & Gamble. We had a big meeting where the Metamucil brand was becoming a client. Couldn't have gone better. So I decided to be brave. And I said to him, Ken, I really would like to advance. I think I deserve more money. And he said, you know what, Barb, based on how this ladder works, you might have to leave and come back. Leave, grow, get more money, and then come back to the agency in a more senior position. So that's what I did. I was just like, see ya, bye-bye.
As a busy mom and dairy farmer, I'm always looking for ways to support my family's health as well as my own. And I absolutely love Wonder Cow Colostrum. It's packed with essential nutrients, great for supporting gut health, boosts immunity, and promotes overall wellness. Whether it's for me, my kids, or anyone looking to stay strong and healthy, Wonder Cow is my go-to daily supplement. I've been taking it for a year now, and it is irreplaceable in my daily routine. If you want to experience the amazing benefits of colostrum too, you can use my special code, DairyGalVal, at checkout for a discount. Give Wonder Cow a try, and you will definitely feel the difference. Hey, Dairy Hour listeners, if you're enjoying this show, leaving a review is the best way to help us grow and reach more people. Plus, I've got a little thank you for you. Snap a screenshot of your review, message it to me at Dairy Gal Val, and I will be sure to send some fun Dairy Hour stickers your way. Thanks for supporting the podcast, and I cannot wait to mail you some swag.
All right, if that's not going to work, I'm out.
Darn it. So I actually, and this was not planned, but I joined two other women, a woman who was a nurse who also had an MBA that wanted to do a startup consulting firm. So I joined she and her sister, and we founded something called McCarroll Marketing. And we were doing consulting, marketing, advertising, communications for hospitals and health systems first. And then we took on food, nutrition, pharmaceutical, medical device as we expanded. So I was with them for 8 years and, again, loved it, loved the diversity of the interaction with clients, problem solving, travel, and grew the business from what started as about $500,000. When I left, it was $25 million.
Awesome.
So just right concept at the right time. We grew it from the original 3 staff people to, I think they have 25, 30 people at this point. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. But you know what? She, the woman that was president, the RN, moved the business from the suburbs into downtown Chicago. And I lived in the suburbs. I had just gotten married. I was just having children, and I could not add, an hour and a half commute to my.
Yeah. An hour and a half plus, seeing as you never know what that Chicago traffic's going to do.
You got it. So I did make the decision to leave, and that's how I ended up at Dairy. I became an independent consultant, and that was one of my jobs. I came here to cover the maternity leave of the woman who ran marketing communications.
Okay.
And I like to say I never left.
So what were your first, how did you find, that Dairy was looking for, that replacement for someone who was on maternity leave? Like, how did that happen to fall into your lap?
So I don't know if you recognize the name Jean Regalie or Jean Regalie Carr. Jean.
Familiar, but I don't know it like super well.
Yeah. So she worked on the national staff for a long time. She was a registered dietitian and was also president of the National Dairy Council. So Jean and it goes all the way back to my first job. Jean and my paths crossed at Burson Marsteller, the first job. Then when I was maybe 3 years into the startup business, we hired Jean to bring nutrition expertise to the company. So she was there for 2-3 years. And then she left and joined Dairy. And then when I left McCarroll, she knew I was consulting and brought me in to cover that maternity leave. So that's one of those, that's one of those takeaways, Val, for me that, you meet people on your journey that stay close to, support each other in terms of growth and opportunity over time.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just goes to show how the world has a way of putting you in places or putting people in your life that should be there. And, you might not even realize it at the time, but they do have that guide to get you to basically where you belong. Yeah. You'd never know it until you look back and say, wait a second.
Yeah, so your earlier point, no agriculture background, but really came through the food and nutrition door.
Okay. And so you came to cover a maternity leave.
And that was 3 months. And I will never forget, I was sitting in the front lobby, waiting to be assigned to an office and understand what the scope of work would be. And the CEO at the time, longtime CEO, Tom Gallagher, came walking through the lobby and, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Which was,
it's long there. Who are you?
Tom was pretty renowned for, talking to anybody. And so he pulls me out of the front lobby and pulls me into his office, and we get to know each other, which was, a great sort of beginning to that opportunity. And, the rest is kind of history, right? So the woman came back from her maternity leave, and we were just at that time, it was about the year 2000, 2001, and we were just undertaking the new development of the new crisis management capability. So I stayed and helped lead that project.
That's awesome. And what made you fall in love with, working in dairy, working for dairy farmers?
You know what? It's farmers. It was meeting the people for whom we were working, putting the face behind that commitment. It was probably a little bit life stage for me. My kids were young, maybe 5 and 6 or 4 and 6. And I saw firsthand the role dairy played in our life at home, like avid milk drinkers, just couldn't get enough of it. And so a lot of appreciation there. I think the family values that farmers have, so it was a combination of factors that fell into place. And, I was locked in, and committed.
I love it. So you started on the issues and crisis management after you were done with your maternity leave fill-in.
That's right.
And then what kind of other different things have you done, throughout the tenure at DMI?
It's, and I think part of it was by design, and Tom and my design, I got to work across a lot of areas. So after I finished the issues crisis work, which was about a year-long initiative, Tom put me in charge of school marketing. So school milk became, my passion, my focus, but also a lot of the work we were doing in classrooms around dairy nutrition, food guide pyramid at the time, and where dairy fit. So, again, it was a great personal parallel with...
I was just going to say, with your kids starting school and all that, nothing piques a mom's interest like being right in there knowing what's going on.
Exactly. Well, and I could see... the programs we were developing, I could see at my kids' schools. So, and got firsthand observation. Yeah. After I did that, I worked in what we call today strategic intelligence. But at that point, it was a much smaller capability, consumer insights, data, planning. By the mid-2000s, we changed the business plan, Val. I don't know if you remember that, but 2005, 2006, we went from spending the bulk of the dollars in advertising and consumer marketing and said some of the growth challenges or barriers in the category are not awareness, right? We are known to almost every household in this country. It was sort of a lack of investment, a lack of innovation in the middle of the chain. So I got to work with Tom and the leadership team then in rewriting that business plan, really taking it from a direct to consumer to more of a B2B that got to know the middle of the chain. And I'll tell you, reflecting on a 20-year career here, that's where I'm proud of the focus that I took personally, that we've taken on your behalf, is to understand the companies, the co-ops and the companies to whom you send your milk, to ensure that they are armed and ready to help drive growth in the category.
Yeah, because it's definitely a team effort across the industry. It's not just to everyone for themselves. You have to work together as a team or you don't get anywhere. And it just looks so much better and it feels so much better even from a farmer's standpoint. It feels so much better when everyone is on the same page, pushing for the same things, like, out there spreading the same messages. Like, it just feels so much more like you're a part of something rather than I'm out here, I'm a dairy farmer and I'm out here fighting just for myself instead of for everybody. It's definitely, we have to work together because as numbers get smaller, we need to make sure that we stay strong and stay together.
It's scale, right? I mean, it is a game of scale. We're a big category, but as an individual, this keeps me up at night. I worry about individual farmers being able to raise their voice in the marketplace, to follow their product to market. So what's the work we can do collectively and more efficiently? The investment in science, the investment in market intelligence, business development opportunities, exports, those big areas that we now know are so important for U.S. dairy to thrive.
Awesome. So you spent some time there, and then
Yep. So we worked on the plan. Again, help facilitate some early innovation work.
Mm-hmm.
We had committees set up around milk, around cheese, and around the Hispanic consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So I helped get those structures in place. And importantly, it wasn't just checkoff at the table, but we had partners from the middle of the chain. So co-ops and processors and manufacturers who joined these committees to start looking at the intelligence, the insights, the concepts that could help grow the category in each of those areas. After 2 years, Val, there was so much interest in companies that wanted to work with checkoff that I went back to Tom and I said, we either need to change the way we're structured and take on a lot more staff, or we need to change the way we work. And actually, the Innovation Center was founded in 2008 as an outgrowth of some of that. So, just creating a new structure that allowed, instead of working individually with all these companies, we work collectively, or what I call pre-competitively, right? So amazing, 16 years later now, 17 years later, the Innovation Center is still alive and well and working on farmers' behalf. Importantly, that's something we have to remember is it was created to take farmers' priorities and work with and through the rest of the chain. And, there's over 200 companies. There's work that we're doing in innovation, health and wellness, food safety, food security. We have the farm program that comes to and through. It doesn't do anything in terms of developing or executing the program, but it becomes a forum for input on the farm program. So it's been a good structure for working with the broader industry.
Definitely. And I feel like it's a very important part of dairy as a whole, because if you're not innovating, you're staying stagnant, and you can't stay stagnant, especially now that we're in 2025 of all years, which is crazy to think about. But, if you're not like growing and changing, you're remaining stagnant and you're essentially going backwards at this point. And that's something that I feel like dairy farmers in general did for so long, many years ago. It's changed just from when I graduated high school in 2006 to now. The amount that the dairy industry has changed and how they go about things is it's crazy. The massive, 180-degree turn that it's made in going forward. And it's fantastic to see, as someone who loves dairy and also as someone who's a dairy farmer. It's been neat as it almost like grew with me as I, came out onto my own. So it's been it's neat to be along on the journey, and I love that.
We need to talk about to see the generations on a farm.
Yeah.
Sort of the progressive nature of farm families, the technology that increasingly is playing a role. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. And, I'm happy to be a part of this movement of dairy going in the correct direction. It's just it's a neat feeling. And, it just gets me all excited. I don't even know how to put it into words. I'm excited to see where it's going in the future that it holds for us, because it seems like with everything, as things get going, they just pick up more and more steam and they just go faster and faster. And, as long as you keep the ball rolling in the correct direction, it's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
So for those that are not familiar with the Dairy Innovation Center, would you mind just giving an example of something that you saw the Dairy Innovation Center see a need for that came out the other side?
There is a body of work that we're doing right now, and it's work, again, I want to stress, it's work that started at DMI, at Dairy Checkoff. So farmers funded and initiated the work, but we recognized that we had to take it to the industry through some forum. So I'm talking about the work you all invest in science, and specifically in health and wellness science. There is so much new opportunity in the magic of your product, both the whole product as well as the components. You all invested in a piece of work called the Milk Molecule Initiative. It's a study we're doing with University of California at Davis, and it is a technology platform that, based on multiple analyses of milk, has identified 6,300 components in milk. It's now marrying those components with research. What's the state of the research on each of these components? Some of them have never been discovered before, but the system is scraping all available English language science to support the role of these macro and micronutrients and other components in milk. In any event, we have taken that research. We've created a health and wellness committee of the Innovation Center. And now in this last year, based on the state of the research, have developed a playbook. First and foremost, it is focused on consistent messaging, how we talk about our products, milk, cheese, yogurt, ingredients. But it is also intended to inspire innovation, Val, which, as you know, is ultimately up to the individual companies. So we've just started down the path. The first chapter of the playbook is focused on growth and performance, an area very central to our capabilities, dairy's role in health. The second chapter is focused on the first 1,000 days, which is all about the importance of dairy in a child's first 2 years. Really powerful science that's identified. The next chapter is going to focus on this year, first part of the year, we're going to be focused on healthy heart and weight and dairy's role in that. Longer term, we'll have a chapter on our role in mental health. But importantly, by having the industry at the table pre-competitively, this is about arming them. Again, it's co-ops, it's processors, it's manufacturers, it's retailers and others with a common set of messages that can start to talk about dairy that really, for the end marketplace and end consumers, lets them think about dairy in a whole new way, both in the products they have available today, but also future products that will be coming on market offering these benefits.
Awesome. Yeah, I am a huge fan of the Milk Molecule Project, and every time we hear about it at meetings and whatnot, I just love it. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's just crazy, the technology that we have to be able to basically dig the milk molecules apart and see what's in there. Because, for however many years that we've been drinking milk, hundreds, thousands of years, no one's ever thought of it beyond like, hey, this is milk. Like, milk is milk. There's nothing to it. And then as you discover more things about it, it's fascinating how in depth that technology can get. So it is a really exciting thing that I am proud of also.
I'm so glad, and for me, it reinforces and lets us double down in terms of the product, milk, cheese, yogurt, but it also, again, it helps guide us for new product innovation. I was looking at Daily Dose this morning, and the number of new products and new product forms, barks and gummies and shots, and we are going to see sort of a whole new face of dairy and dairy-based products over the next 10 years that, I want you and I want, your neighbors and friends and counterparts to know, Chekhov helped make that happen.
Definitely. So back to your journey. Where did your journey go after you were in the more of the innovation space and got the innovation center set up? And so this is what, 2008, 2009?
8, 9, 10. The other big thing that happened in those years was we started the big national partnerships. So that was another opportunity space that I got to work in. So, setting the criteria for those partnerships, going in at the CEO level to negotiate how we could work together, find common wins. Pizza, it was really interesting at the time, 2009-10, pizza was on the decline and cheese on pizza was on the decline. So we went to the big players, Domino's, Pizza Hut, I want to say we went to Papa John's too. Papa John's didn't quite understand the partnership criteria that
they didn't understand the assignment. It's fine. Let them go.
But Domino's, and you probably,
yep.
You probably remember this, but Domino's went on TV and said, we got bad pizza. And so we helped them totally deconstruct their pizza and rebuild it from the crust up. And the good news was more cheese sells more pizza. So
because cheese is the best, obviously.
Yeah. Consumers do not want you messing with their cheese. That's the one we have definitely learned. Anyway, so I had the chance to work on partnerships. In 2016, Tom named me president of DMI. Again, such a privilege to step into that role, but it gave him the opportunity to spend more of his time outside, and I was focused more on the day-to-day operation. And then, as you know, in 2022, I became CEO. So, it's been an amazing journey, that's for sure.
And somewheres you definitely never saw yourself ending up when you were a kid.
I did not, but, could not be happier that this is where I've ended up.
Perfect. And we're happy you're here. So there's that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Awesome. And what are some other things, obviously, you dedicate a ton of time to the dairy industry. What are some things that you enjoy doing outside of dairy?
From a pretty athletic family. So, a lot of time outdoors. My husband is a hunter.
Okay.
So, we'll take trips up to southern Wisconsin and it's mostly birds. So pheasant and other birds. So I'll walk while he shoots.
Just don't walk in the wrong spot. That's all.
Exactly. The kids also like to do that. We're big on water sports. We're big on winter sports. I kind of married Jeremiah Johnson, if you know that reference, but he's a real outdoorsman. So fishing, hunting, athletics. And, it's really just about a way to spend time with our kids. They're both grown now, so working around their schedules more than ours.
Definitely.
But love to have it come together.
Good. I love it. So at this point, I love to just ask some fun rapid fire questions just to get to know you better. So let's see. If you could meet any historical figure, who would it be and why?
I'll just rapid fire it. You know what? I'm going to say Louisa May Alcott, which is a strange response, but my memory, those were my favorite books. Little Women, Little Men, Joe's Girl, Joe's Boys, just important early influence in terms of reading.
It's whoever you want to meet. You don't have to it doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. How's that? Are you early morning or night owl?
Early morning.
See, that's why she works for farmers, everybody.
Marilyn Hershey knows it. So it is not unusual for us to talk before 6.
Oh my gosh. See, and I always say, and those of you that have listened to the podcast before know this, I am not a morning person and I am not a night person. I'm a need my sleep person. So if people are like, oh, you're a farmer, you get up really early. And I was like, yeah, not if I can help it. I don't get up that early. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. And you probably don't want to know me if I get up early too much. Dear, I'm a need my sleep person. So that's what my answer to that.
I go to bed early though. I'm usually in bed by 9.
There's nothing wrong with that. Gosh. Are you a sweet person or a savory person?
Totally savory.
Savory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not? Are you sweet?
Now, I was going to say, I don't know. I don't know if I could live without sweets, but then I really like savory too. So I'm just kind of like, I love food person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends on the day, I guess, for me. Your go-to, like if you're going to just sit, which is not normally your thing, if you're going to sit and binge watch a TV show, what are you watching?
Oh, we're watching right now on Netflix, The Agency. We're watching Lioness.
Okay, I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, it's good. There's one more, Landman.
Okay, I've also heard that one's really good. I need to get myself up to date.
Yeah.
We're not very series, like we don't watch a ton of series. We normally just at night, we'll just watch reruns of something just to veg. But we did get into the Yellowstone thing. We watched the whole Yellowstone. And now I need to get Paramount so I can watch the rest of the things.
Yeah, we watched, what did you just say you watched?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Sorry, Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the part at the end, spoiler alert, anyone that watched or has not finished watching Yellowstone, which if you haven't finished watching it, I don't know who you are, but nothing breaks your heart more as a farmer than seeing Rip walk through the barn in the last episode and shut the door for good. I literally died right there. I was, yep, I'm done. Tears running down my face. I was like, this is, yep, heartbreaking. Like, oh my gosh, can't even imagine. So,
yeah, wanted for more. Yeah.
Well, no, it was just like that closure of the barn. Like, just as a farmer and all these farms that are going out of business, it's just nothing pulls at your heartstrings more than a farm or a ranch that's just like done.
Yeah.
So you are, I guess I'm going to go to your early, because the question is your favorite late night snack, but I'm going to go, if you're like up early in the morning and you got to nibble on something, what are you going for?
Cottage cheese.
See, this is why cottage cheese is making a comeback, because Herb O'Brien, cottage cheese.
I am personally, I mean, I've made ice cream with it. I put it in scrambled eggs. I mean, I am a huge fan.
Perfect.
Yeah.
See, and I don't get super creative with it, but have you ever had cottage cheese and pineapple?
No.
See, now that's like the only, I don't know if it's a Vermont thing, and I'm not even from Vermont, but my family is from Vermont. But I don't know. I've just always grown up, and it's like not, I mean, I guess you could do it with fresh pineapple, but you get the canned pineapple with the rings, and you put a couple slices in, and you put some cottage cheese on it, and you eat it.
I remember that from like school days. Yeah.
It might be, it's probably an old Vermont thing, knowing my family and where our really random little things come from. But
so today for lunch, though, I have cottage cheese I brought from home and a avocado.
Oh, there you go.
So again, I still stay on that sort of savory side.
I love it. What is your favorite historical landmark that you've ever visited?
Gosh, I'm going to have to go to Washington, DC. That's probably memorable. The Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial. That's such an early sort of recognition of our country's history. And actually, yesterday was the inaugural. I had the TV on in the background a little bit, and it was pretty cool, seeing the references for sure.
Yes, 100%. So side note on the inauguration yesterday, with it being inside for the first time since 1985, because we did that in homeschooling, we learned all about the inauguration, and the rotunda in the Capitol where they were, I actually got to tour it in June when I was down there with an event for National Milk. And I have pictures looking up at the wall and the ceiling in the rotunda. And as we're watching it, I was telling my kids, like, I was just in that exact room in June. And my girls that are 9, both are like, no, you weren't. You didn't get to go in there. And I was like, I do. I have pictures. So I pulled out my phone and I'm scrolling through and I find the pictures. And Mom was a hero yesterday. She got to go in a cool building and I have pictures to prove it, and they could not believe it. So
very cool. Will you take them to Washington as part of their school experience?
At some point, we are 100% going back, because it's definitely become one of my favorite cities in the world. I would never live there, but I do in fact I love museums. I love history. I love just the environment of being like down in that very historical area. So
yeah, very cool.
So yes, I do plan on bringing the kids there. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year or if I'm going to wait for them to grow a touch older, but we're going.
I want to say we went in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Well, that's when we made that trip. So they're probably a little young at this point.
Yeah. Make it work when the time works. We'll get there. So, oh dear. So now I love to ask people, because I have a travel bug. And I love to find out about travel. So, best place you've ever gotten to go?
So I'll give you 2 answers. Personally, my husband and I, for our 35th wedding anniversary, went to Italy. We flew into Milan, and then we stayed like mid-country, like in the Florence area, and drove. We drove through vineyards and olive groves, and I mean, just beautiful countryside experience there. Professionally, I've only traveled internationally once with DMI and with US Deck. And actually, the trip was with one of our partner cooperatives. I went to Singapore, and that was an amazing experience.
So what's the craziest thing that you ate in Singapore? One of those things you're like, I don't know if I'd have ever eaten that unless I'm not handing it to me.
I can't tell you what everything was. I will tell you that I was with some other people where we kept saying, "We'll wait for the rice, please." We'll wait for the rice.
I'm not super hungry. I would just really like some rice. That'd be super.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not that big of an adventurer when I don't know what it is.
If you listen back to the podcast I did with Alex Peterson, we talked about some fun foods that he enjoyed while he was over in Asia as well. So,
oh, I'm sure. Knowing Alex, he'll probably try anything once.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he goes, well, when so-and-so dignitary is handing you food saying, here, you have to have this. He's like, you just kind of eat it. And I was like, okay, go for it.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess I probably would too. And I would just hope for the best.
Yeah. Close your eyes.
Just pretend it's chicken. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But it does make you realize the huge opportunities over there.
100%.
In terms of...
and you can put cheese on anything.
Exactly. Well, and what's fascinating too, especially with your sweet, the soft, sweet cheeses, almost like candy, that are so popular with kids in Southeast Asia. Huge market there.
Yeah.
A lot of upside.
Cheese goes good on anything, anywhere, anytime. So
exactly.
That's my motto.
Yeah. If you were on
just put some cheese on it, it'll be great.
If you were on a deserted island, right? Just give me cheese.
Well, ice cream would be a hard up. Be cheese and ice cream, probably. I got to have that sweet and savory, okay?
There you go.
Dear. And what is your bucket list place to go? Where someone just handed you like unlimited funds to go on your dream trip, where would you go?
As a family, we talked about wanting to go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I have an older sister who lived in Japan for 2 years. She's in the fashion industry. My parents got to go and visit her there. And my son, Luke, who's an engineer right now, works for a Japanese firm.
Oh.
So I would say the bucket list destination, it's such an interesting culture, such an interesting, amazing history. That's certainly one of the places.
Very good. I love it. Now I have to make you think. I'm sorry.
Okay. Uh-oh.
So I love to ask more of a deeper thought question that was left by a previous guest on the podcast. So the question that I have for you is, what is one quality about yourself that has been crucial to your success? Sorry, I couldn't tell you it was coming.
Work ethic.
And why?
And grit.
Mm-hmm.
I just, things don't always go the way you expect. There are so many uncontrollables in a given day, particularly in this job, Val, that, you think things are going to go one direction and they end up turning another. So regrouping, not letting yourself get discouraged, going back at it, re-strategizing a new approach to break through. That's that's how I think farmers work. Mm-hmm. In terms of like incredible perseverance, just getting up every day and recognizing the importance of the work they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been difference making for me in terms of, moving with opportunity, but also regrouping from failure to move on, to go back at things that are worthy goals.
Yeah. Definitely. I like that. Definitely suits you from what I've gathered from getting to know you as well. So I very much appreciate that. And what is a quote that, is something that just motivates you and drives you to be the best that you can be?
Okay, so now it comes full circle.
Did I not tell you it was going to come full circle?
That is so funny. And you've likely heard this and it's got multiple pieces to it, but grit is about working on something you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. To be gritty is to fall down 7 times and get up 8. Grit is about doing the hard work day in and day out without immediate reward. It's about courage. It's about resolve. It's about integrity. It's about strength of character. So
I love it.
That's sort of, I worked on this a couple years ago. I don't know if you've read Angela Duckworth's Grit.
Okay. No, I have not.
I did it as part of some remarks I was giving at Dairy Girl Network. And so Marilyn and I talk about grit a lot in terms of our leadership and what it takes. And so that's what I had for you today. And I guess that ties back to the question you asked prior.
See, it's funny how that all comes full circle, isn't it?
It sure is.
I love it. Marilyn. Yeah, Marilyn. Now you're talking about Marilyn. I got Marilyn on the brain. Now I'm calling you Marilyn. Oh, dear. Because I was thinking about Marilyn, and she's been on here as well. And actually, I got my Hershey bar a few weeks ago, which was nice. My annual Hershey bar from Marilyn Hershey, because if your last name is Hershey, of course, that's what you do. And it's the best thing ever.
Absolutely.
So, Barb, where can people find out more about Dairy Checkoff if they are a dairy farmer or if they just want to kind of see what, some of the cool things that dairy is up to?
usdairy.com is the general URL, and there's some dedicated space for farmers that, if you want next level understanding of how your dollars are being used and the results it's driving, that's a starting point.
Awesome. Any last parting words for us, Barb?
You know what? Thank you for the time. Really enjoyed getting to know you a little better as well. And, I'm excited about 2025, Val. I really think U.S. Dairy's in a great position. Mm-hmm. We've got a great plan. We're finishing. We're starting a new plan. The industry is, as challenging as it is, the industry is restructuring in a way that I think we are going to be a global force. And I'm thrilled for dairy farmers because I think ultimately you need to be the end beneficiary of that growth.
I love it. Barb, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you all listening enjoyed this podcast and got to learn a little bit more about Barb and the really great things that she's doing in dairy, because she is definitely quite a leader, and I love the direction that she is bringing dairy in and kind of shepherding us in the correct direction. And I love that. So thank you so much, Barb. I absolutely loved our conversation, and thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week.
Take care. We'll see you soon.